Aboard the mighty airship Windswift, 4 valiant captains of the Order of Astari are tasked with hunting down the madmen who would bring back the Dragon Overlords. These are the adventures of the Windswift.
Hello and welcome to this episode of The Adventures of the Windswift. Well, our characters are in an interesting situation, and to tell us more, the Dice of Destiny has determined that it is number 4, that is Blackston, who is going to tell us exactly what's going on. Now, for those of you who wonder why the Dice of Destiny seems to change as to who goes to speak where, because of the recording technology we use, when everyone logs in, their portrait appears on my screen in a different order every week. So it's just basically who's the 4th screen on my video feed, and so that's Blackston. Now, before I get ahead of myself and forget what I needed to do, we are changing the way that the Windswift will be working moving forward. And this is in response to, well, you guys. You've been asking for more. So we've decided as of next week, so not this week's episode, but as of next week, we're going to shift to a 2-hour episode a week in the hopes that will satisfy your cravings for more of the antics of these individuals. Now, at the end of that 2 hours, we will still do our player and GM breakdown, basically what they felt happened in the show and what was good and what was bad about their character performance and actions, and all that sort of usual stuff. So if you think this is a good idea, please will you leave your comments below and just say, yay, happy, 2 hours is great, or, well, actually, we hope you reduce the length of the show to, maybe 5 minutes. But whatever your opinion, wouldn't you leave us a comment below so we can see whether or not we're on the right track? Because ultimately, us playing together is... well, it's a lot of fun. We want to do it more often. So there you are. Right. So with all of that out of the way, Blackston, would you please tell us just what's going on?
Previously in the Windswift Adventures, the Windswift crashed down in the Akek-Sedep Desert, the husk broken and split apart. The oracle of the crew, Demestra, gone, dead, or just lost for now. A dust cloud approached the ship from the horizon, quickly showing itself as a catamaran from the Sajet Desert, a sand ship. Deja, the local merchant, quickly saw himself overwhelmed by authority and got his ship requisitioned. Now the captain's trying to figure out the situation, trying to repair their ship, trying to get more supplies to live through this heaping heat in the desert. And to find the escaped prisoner. Will they succeed? Will they fail? Stay tuned.
Well, there you go. And indeed, that's where we find ourselves, with the sand ship, with Graham, Con, and Blackston sailing away at top speed in a general direction of where the prisoner was last seen. Mutaru with his slave girl that he's just purchased, his slave girl with emerald green eyes, standing next to the hulk of the Windswift, which is currently under repair. And that's where we find ourselves. So I'm going to kick off with Mutaru.
Well, seeing the catamaran leave without Mutaru, Mutaru expresses a certain amount of shock, but then quietly thinks to himself, did they say they were leaving me? Did they say that I was protecting the ship? They must have. Yeah, they wouldn't leave me. Yes, I am protecting the ship. Mutaru is captain, and we cannot leave a ship without his captain. Makes perfect sense. Noisy Sajet wind. Even the wind sounds like a douchebag.
Behind you, you hear a shout of alarm and then a banging, rending, breaking, snapping sound. And on the minuscule zephyr of a breeze that blows about the desert, you get the distinct aroma of... it's almost like a sweet pine, fresh wood that's just been ripped open. You then hear cursing and gnomish from 3 different parties.
I'm very familiar with at least one of those curses. They call me that all the time. All right. First of all, I'm going to gain the attention of the young lad we saved in the Sajet Desert a while back.
Yes, he's hanging from a bowsprit.
And I will ask him. I'll order him to come over here, and I will speak gently to him.
All right, he scampers down like the agile young monkey that he is, and he comes and stands a respectful distance away, looking a little bit nervous.
Well, boy, how are you settling into your job? Your duty, son.
Yes, sir. Well, we've just we've started to repair the yardarms, sir.
Excellent. Well, I have a new task for you.
All right, sir.
Now, I'm going to try and do this. Now, I understand how physics works, but I'm hoping that cinematic trumps physics. I'm going to grab the collar around her neck and break it.
All right, give me a strength check.
Roll one, roll one, roll one.
Hate your face. 18 plus 3 is 21.
The collar wasn't very good quality to begin with, and the lock was, well, shabby to say the least. So with a bit of a strain and some effort, you managed to crack it sufficiently that eventually the lock just falls off and the collar opens up.
Cool. I will say, this woman is our guest aboard the ship. I am placing her in your charge. See that she is cleaned, well fed, and is given appropriate attire.
In my charge, sir.
Come on, lad. It's time you... What race is he? Human. You manned up. That's what you fellows say, yes?
All right, sir.
Excellent.
Woman looks over at you.
How old is he?
Mios is about 13.
Yeah, I fucking knew. Are you my mom?
The woman looks at you. I do not understand. What do you mean?
I place my hand on her shoulder and I say,
she cringes.
Now this may not be, I do it gently, and I see that she cringes, but I continue just very slowly, very gently, and I say, it may take some time, and though it may not be the case now while you are trapped aboard this somewhat shackled vessel, once it is repaired, you'll be brought to wherever you desire, well, or at least within appropriate flying distance, and you'll be set free. In the meantime, please try to get some rest. You have a long journey ahead of you. And I'll leave him and go investigate the noise of the wood breaking.
All
because
right.
that's happening.
That's what you're going to go and do. The three of you, the ship is now at full speed and is quite happily making at least 25 to 30 knots. So she is running it.
I really like this thing.
Where we saw the escapee last, right? That's where our first goal is.
Right.
Blackston will turn to greet him and look at him and say, like, everything we pay the merchant comes from your coffers.
Oh, hold on. That's actually, no, that's pretty reasonable. I'll go with that.
I look at Graham. Are you feeling unwell? Oh, yes, you got stabbed.
Yeah, no, he's like looking down, like he looks like if there was a child in front of him, like he would want to throttle it until his head would pop. Just, ow, out of my grasp.
I sort of make my way up to the bow so I can try and see ahead and pick out anything. I sort of have a general idea of the direction from Mataru.
You all realize pretty quickly, once the ship is moving quite fast, that you have to grab whatever cloak or sleeve or headgear you have and protect your face, because the sting of the sand, as well as the heat, creates this rather unpleasant pain of your flesh being slowly brushed off of your body. As a result, everyone sort of hunkers down so that they can just see enough. Naxon seems to pilot the ship fairly well. He is a little bit unstable. And Con, you realize quite quickly that although the ship, once they're going, this ship will cruise at 30 knots, which is almost double the speed of the Windswift. Not
Very
quite,
fast.
of course, but
How does it handle the dunes?
handling dunes is okay.
It's like 50-something kilometers an hour or so.
Yes, that's why I asked.
It's
What dunes?
The dunes, he does try to move sideways up or diagonally up them, but the challenge is turning. As he pulls on that rudder, there's a lot of friction, and the ship is very sluggish to turn. So they're not very maneuverable at high speed.
Like
You would
big
expect at
bursts,
low
yeah.
speed they're even worse. But he manages to pull up at this sandy spot, is roughly in the direction of where Mutaru said he was. I'm busy rolling 16s and 17s here. So the three of you scan around quickly, and Mutaru made reference to a green flame of sorts. The only thing that you can see in the desert is, you actually taste it more than see it, is this burnt copper flavor is in the air suddenly. And looking around, perched on a dune not far away from you, is this burnt trinket. It's made out of copper, a bit of brass or bronze, you're not entirely sure, and it's opened up like a flower, but it's blackened at its center. So it's burnt itself out. So whatever it was is no longer in existence.
Curious.
Yeah, tell him to kind of go there and kind of stop, right?
Yeah, we should take a closer look.
I jump down and inspect it.
Okay. As you land on the sand, bits of its of the crest break away and start this avalanche down on either side. On your right-hand side, you see the sand slide to a stop, but then it's almost as if your eyes are playing tricks on you. It looks as if the sand turns into smoke because of the way it sort of billows when it reaches the bottom of the sand. It doesn't look like
Well, that's
sand.
peculiar.
Do we see this as well?
Yes, all of you see it. It's not.
Maxon,
Is that an illusion?
do you have any
Mirage.
idea what that might be?
That is-
Can I take a closer look at it?
I would advise against that, sir. That is
What is it?
we call the waters of the desert. It is sand
Right.
that is of such fine quality that only the ships will sail over it. And I do mean, in this case, sail, not skate like we have been doing so far. If
Aha.
you
Okay,
fell in there,
I just
So I was right.
look at Graham. I just look at Graham. I assume there are ropes aboard, right?
oh, plenty.
All right. I think Mutaro said she disappeared into the sand.
Yeah, she
Yes.
went down.
Now we know why. You're not
About
seriously proposing
yeah.
going down there.
We need to investigate.
But
Someone needs to get down there.
I'll do
I
it.
advise against this.
Kind of nod. Kind of get a rope, bind it to one of them.
Of course, you're going
mast or whatever.
Yeah, I was like,
Secure
okay.
it, right? That tether into the boat.
He's not
Make
going.
sure that's properly tethered. You be careful, Blackstone.
Yeah, and I kind of wrap it around my arm at the very end, at least, and kind of.
You're going over,
Oh.
Graham?
Yeah, I was. I'm also getting ready to go. Tying up.
Next one
both of
comes
you?
to He puts his
Oh.
hand on your shoulder. If you feel anything bumping against you, I would immediately thrash out in all directions. The sand eels are particularly sensitive on their noses. So if you hit it on its nose, it will most likely move away.
Slightest
All
sign
right.
of trouble and having them haul you back, you understand?
Good luck, sir.
I whip out the dagger and I'll give it a good smack. So I just leap off? Like, am I tied up already?
Yep, you're all harnessed up. You leap off.
I retrieve this trinket cautiously.
All right. As you do so, it's hot to the touch, but that could be because it's been lying in the sun all afternoon. Well,
And burnt.
for the last few minutes, or
Burnt.
because it was burnt.
Well, I use my knife. I don't touch it,
Ah.
having learned from the experience of my friend.
Having the Indiana Jones moment where he just.
Yeah, no, I take a dagger and lift it out. If I assume, is that possible?
It looks like it's about that big, with the little petals of brass and bronze that have opened up. As you try and move it with your knife, it flips over, and the other side of it is flesh that's been torn away from wherever it was. Your assumption is she must have had this embedded in herself, and she removed it only later, once she was free of the ship. So she should have a fairly large wound, which will be bleeding.
It's the size of what, a golf ball? That's what you said about?
Yeah, it's about that big. I don't have anything on hand. Maybe that big, give or take.
About golf ball size.
Yeah.
I take
That's
a
a
small
big flesh.
pouch from my
Ouch.
medicine kit. I take a pouch from my medicine kit and sort of scoop it into there. Well, I guess that's evidence
All right.
of something.
Blackston, you see Graham land into this smoke-like substance, and as he does, there's this splash, except there's no sound whatsoever. Just this gentle hissing of the sands as it sort of swirls around him. Naxon then turns to you. I did not want to say this, sir, when Mr. Graham was going into the waters. If a sand eel does catch on to him, my advice would be to cut the rope free. This ship was not designed for hunting the sand eels, and so it would actually be pulled under with them if they were to take him as the bait that he appears to be.
We will not cut this rope.
I understand loyalty, sir. Yes, good. Then let us pray to all of the gods, as great as they might be, that there are no sand eels in this part of the waters.
Meanwhile, in the sand, I'm just like, gods are stupid.
During all of this, I will get back on the boat and position myself so that I can haul up the ropes if need be.
Naxon comes over to you. Sir, can you cast the lightning?
Afraid not.
Then we must pray to every...
I can throw fire, though.
Fire is no good, sir.
Oh well.
All right, then.
Okay, so is Grim already under?
Yeah. I'll come back to you shortly. Mutaru.
Can I,
Oh, yeah.
with this information, can I start to pull him out again for a second? I will need to speak to him.
All right.
Because that's actually something I can do to help him, but I need to speak to him for it. So.
Okay. Well, you're going to start doing that. I'm going to cut back to Mutaru. You can see the aft ballista has been disassembled. And
Of course, it's mine.
there is a new fresh piece of planking which has been, it looks like it was supposed to have been installed across a gap in the hull, but that has snapped in half, and that's what that fresh smell is because the planks are quite new. They were only loaded up just before you guys left. Yeah. Watson comes up to you. I've got good news and I've got bad news, sir. Which would you like to hear first?
Oh, well, there is no such thing as good news or bad news. Simply news.
Don't do this.
All right. Well, in that case, then, I think we'll be able to get her up and flying in the next 4 or 5 hours.
That is good news.
The other news is that, well, sir, we dismantled the aft ballista to get the metal joist that we needed to shore up the central column of the ship. And that worked beautifully. And, well, it was really Quallen's fault. You see, when I gave the instruction to dismantle the ballista, I was giving that instruction just prior to myself commencing it. So I went and dismantled the aft ballista, sir, and got the metal joist that we needed. Unfortunately, Quallen also dismantled a ballista to get the metal joist that we needed. As a result, the central core of the ship is really stable.
This is why you don't use gnomes.
I see. So what you're trying to tell me is that we have one of the sturdiest ships, but we are otherwise completely defenseless at the present point in time.
From a ballista defense point of view, yes.
I see. Would you excuse me a moment?
He steps.
Just
all right. We can commence flight in 4 hours.
Give or take. Aye.
Very well. What is the nearest settlement that is likely to have on hand the materials you would require to replace said ballistas?
It's 40 miles.
Well, you see, that's where the bad news comes in.
Oh, the lack of weapons, wasn't it? Okay, carry on.
The nearest source for our weapons is standing right behind you.
I looked behind me. Oh, Jesus.
I have all the solutions to your problems. This much I anticipated. So, I have got a great deal for you and you and you and you as well. Yes, that's right. You want to be airborne in 4 hours? I make it 3 hours. Cheap price.
Call! All right, I will say, Lock and Stoke, get your brother to pour me some tea and bring it to the meeting room. You come with me. And I point at the trader.
Absolutely. I have special tea as well. This is known as the best tea. It is tea. I have this imported from Datahogs by hand. 1,000 virgins were sacrificed to cut this tea. It is the best tea you could possibly have. I will bring for you. Yes.
Did you say 1,000 virgins were sacrificed?
For you, 1,005.
We're gonna lose everything on the ship, aren't we?
All right, back to the smoky waters. Graham, you've plunged maybe 3 foot in when the rope seems to start pulling you back out again. Your visibility in there is maybe 4 foot, but it's this surreal, the depths keep changing and it's not entirely, you're not sure where to look, and it's like smoke, but as you come back out of it, it feels like you've just been eating sand. It's just, and everything's grimy. You get out, Blackson?
These slugs seem to be a bit bigger than we thought, so be careful. And I pet him on the back.
Dust flies out.
And I cast Protection from Good and Evil on him.
Wait, do I get hurt?
No. It's just...
Right. No. Sorry.
All right, and you go back in.
Throw me in the pit.
Instantaneously vaporizes.
I get rope again.
All right, you plunge back down into the smoke.
Be careful.
Yes.
All right. So this is going to be an interesting roll. I would like you, please, Freddie, to roll me a D10. Just roll a D10 and give me the number.
Oh boy.
Is it just Freddy going down?
Yeah.
A 1.
All right, that's not the same number that I rolled, so you don't bump into a sand deal at the present moment in time. How far down are you going to go? Because as you're sort of swimming around, you realize that the drop-off is fairly steep. You're looking at a decline of maybe 50 to 55 degrees, which is almost unnatural given the fact that it's all sand.
I'm gonna keep going. I feel like this could be a good route. If she knows how to get around, then she knows a way to avoid these sand deals. I have to risk the biscuit just a little bit further.
All right. You continue down. Roll another D10.
9.
9.
No!
All right.
Pull me up.
Give me a perception check, if you please.
Oh, that's gonna be great. Let's see what I get. Let's see. I rolled a natural 20. -2 is 18.
All right. Something definitely bumps against your leg. What you perhaps thought might be a little bump, or like, say, a hand touching you. This bump, as it's hitting, so if that's your leg, as it's hitting your leg, you realize that your leg is the little part, and whatever touches you pushes you sideways. Because there is this massive body moving past you at this moment. But you're getting a sense that it's turning around to come back.
I immediately pull on the rope, just like.
Right, you're pulling on the rope, Langston. You're getting the pull. You're going to start pulling up.
Me too.
Do I need to roll a D10 again or something else? Or
No, I need an initiative check from everybody, please.
Let's do this.
Easy enough.
16.
It's been a while since I fought with this man. 14.
All right. So, Blackson, you start yanking up on the rope, and Grim, you start trying to pull your way up.
Mm-hmm.
As you start to make your way up, you are convinced you hear voices coming from just below you. But then you feel this impending pressure moving towards you. You can see this large dark shape surging towards you. And the water currents around you start pulling you towards this maw that's opening up towards you.
The nose!
That's a perfect initiative for Michael.
Yeah. You've got 10 foot to go to the surface as this thing is moving up behind you based on the initiative rolls. I need Blackson and Con. Please, would you give me an athletics check each?
Is it possible for me to... No, I guess not. I was thinking trying to help them make it easier.
Well, you're
20, not natural.
20
Yeah,
not
sure,
natural?
sure.
Well, that's fine. You don't really need it. Con is definitely dedicated to hauling you out of the
Blackston.
swarm.
But Blackston's more like jiggling it, like he's trying to,
Get it faster. Come on.
You got to reel it in slowly, lure them in. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh God.
Mutaru,
I'm not beaten by a salmon.
you have basically got to the room that you were headed to with Dajar, and you haven't even sat down yet when Lieutenant Tai arrives. I'm sorry to report, sir, that we've got 3 new gentlemen who've just arrived, and they're demanding to speak to the captain.
Dang it.
Are we on the market square or in the middle of the desert? What is this?
How are they more traders? I look with a slight look of alarm.
I'm not sure, sir. I'm not familiar with Sajet culture, but they don't look like it, sir. And they also just stepped out of the sand.
You don't say. All right. Do me a favor. Keep this one here and keep an eye on him.
If I
And
might
make
just interject at these moments, your honorable hoofness,
I'll take it.
they sound like they are the Datahogs.
Mm-hmm.
You have not dealt with Datahogs before.
No, that would be a very, very astute observation.
In which case, I anticipate that I will be able to help you in solving your problem for very minimal charge.
1,000 gold. Easy.
Let's start by sharing to establish what kind of help you can be. Who are the Dareg?
Dataheg are the sand tribes of Akisadab Desert. They are the ones who live below the sand. Much like the old Dwarves used to do, or the Drow Republic nowadays, huh?
Mm-hmm. And what might they want with us?
Usually your head. Darahag are not very friendly.
Well, I suppose that would make this very easy. Now, tell me, you're a very insightful man, yes?
Of course I am. For small price.
All right. Now, take one look at me.
For you,
Do you
I
think-
take two.
Do you think I'm in the mood for any of this Daraheg shit right this second?
My guess is no. This is why I'm willing to go on your behalf and negotiate with them for them not to eat all of us.
You have one chance. Come with me. God, now I know how con feels.
Speaking of con, last few seconds, you're busy trying to get to the surface. You guys are busy pulling on the rope. I need you to make an acrobatics check, please, Freddie.
Okay, this will be fun. Tribes riding on the back of an eel, eh? That's great. 8.
In an eel.
Yeah, in an eel. As you're busy powering up with the rope pulling you up, you look below you, and at first it looks as if it's a black hole that's appearing underneath you. And then you start to see details. The tip of a snout on one side of the hole. It looks like a ragged chin or some kind of jaw structure on the other side of the hole. And then you start to realize this thing has got teeth that are long, perhaps 30 centimeters in length, 12 inches or so, but not very thick, just these long reed-like teeth, which has now opened up underneath you, and it's busy making its way towards you as fast as you can swim up through.
So this is a Stalk pit. That's what you're telling us.
Can I like react like
Sure.
with a quick like I'm trying to remember what he said. I'm gonna try to give a quick strike on his snout with my dagger.
Make an attack.
Come on, baby. All right, cool. That's on app. That's gonna be 18
All right,
with the dagger.
that's it. Do damage.
All right, so let's see. That's gonna be
E4. Go for it.
yep, D4 and then plus 2d6, I believe. Yes.
Do you get snack attack against them?
Yo, yes, because of my swashbuckler.
Oh, nice.
My swashbuckler.
Swish and Berkel.
That's okay, so
See, never.
11 damage.
Nice.
So I try to like smack like get away, you stupid wild beast.
The 11 damage is you slam your dagger into its snout, and you realize that for all of its size, the skin apparently is fairly soft, because the dagger plunges into the snout, and as you pull back, you open up this wound and immediately wish that you hadn't, because this yellow fluid bursts out
Oh,
as if
come on.
under pressure, and the whole creature suddenly stops moving forward as this yellow substance, this yellow nasal oil, starts to leak out of the wound that you made. The best way to describe the aroma is oil that's been used about 30 or 40 times in a really bad restaurant. It's got that slightly fishy, tangy scent to it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
Because
this.
that is what is currently leaking out of its nasal cavity that you've ruptured. Laxton and Con, you busy pulling on the rope. You pull Graham out. He's still got his dagger in hand. And the surface of the sand now starts to change color to this murky yellow tan.
What on earth is that?
As soon as Graham is dangling on the ship, I'll get something out of my bag and just throw it down, and it's a Greek fire.
Oh, wow. All right. So you throw it inside. Give me an attack roll, please. Ranged attack.
Like, as like Khan's like dragging me out, I literally just like have this face just, this sucks.
I crit.
No. All right. Roll your damage.
Want me to confirm the...
Oh, that's
Crit
right.
that
Like
you
this
used?
super crit.
Yeah, roll it again.
18.
Nice.
What is that? Triple? Quadruple?
That's 4 times, right?
Four
Or
times.
is it 4 times?
4 times. 9 is 5.
So what do you want me to roll for damage here?
It's Greek fire. Doesn't that do a standard 1d10?
Sure.
Makes sense. I guess like a
Does
fireball.
now.
Yep.
32 points.
32 points. All right. Wow. So, Graham, as you pull out of this murky sand, which starts to immediately change color, this pot sails past you, disappears into the cloud of smoke, and then there is this brilliant flash of flame, which seems to ripple out underneath the surface, and there's no disturbance for a second beneath you. And then suddenly bits of flesh just start erupting around you, and oil is spraying up into the air, bits of it on fire. This dust is just going in all different directions. Mutaru, way off in the distance, you hear this sort of boom. And then there's this pink spray up into the air near the trader's ship. The jar is like, that did not hit my ship, yes?
No, of course not.
Oh, good.
I'm sure your ship is.
Good.
I'm sure your ship is fine.
Yes. Good. Good. Yes, good. Freddie, you are completely lathered up in entrail of eel. And,
Did you find anything?
pieces?
That was an eel, I presume.
Yeah, I found the eel.
Did you find anything we're searching for?
No, but
Give
I
her
do
up
have a
again.
suspicion she went down there.
I'll give her up
Right.
again so you can go back down.
Well, doesn't look like there'll be much left of her if she did.
Or she found a way. Like, she's a Sajet. She knows this area. She must know a way to get around these things. Naxon, is there a way to get around these things?
I have not heard of any way of getting around sand eels. What
May
you
have
did
something to do
was
with.
pretty good.
Again, I give rope so you can get down. Let him down again.
You're going
What?
down.
I don't want to go back down there.
No, I
We
advise
don't know
against
how
it.
to get around these sand eels.
I think, gentlemen, we have to accept she's escaped. I know, Graham, that you've taken this personally, but she's gotten away. We'll just have to. We'll just have to plan accordingly. It's clear that if any of us go down there, we're just going to end up dead. We should probably get back to the ship.
Yeah, I don't want to actually let the cow be tortured for too long. That man.
We need to get the Windswift up and running, otherwise we're no use to anyone.
We'll find her somewhere. She'll make a mistake. Somewhere.
Mutaru, you arrive with the jar to these 3 men. It's difficult to tell that they're actually men because at first you weren't sure where they were until one of them moved, and you realize that they're wearing a skin-tight bodysuit that covers from head to foot, and the only parts that are visible are these strips where the eyes are. Otherwise, everything else is covered in this bodysuit, and the bodysuit itself is covered in sand. So when they don't move, they look identical to the desert. You then start to realize that on their backs and at their sides, there are blades and things that have been very well designed to fit around their body. So the length of the blade sits along the leg of the thigh of the leg. On the arm, you can see there's a blade that's been very well secured just to the lower arm. One of them steps forward and unclips something from the side of his mask, revealing his face, which is a very Sajet, olive-skinned face. And he touches his hands to his ears, he runs his hands down, and then he crosses them in front of him. The jar does exactly the same thing and sort of nudges you. He then steps forward and speaks in a very strange sounding voice. It's raspy, gravelly, almost a whisper, but it's definitely, it's not accustomed to the common tongue, let's put it that way. Why are you in our desert?
Not of choice. As you can see behind us, our vessel was ill-equipped to remain aloft. This was simply where it came down.
Are you going to remain here?
That is not our intention, unless there is some evil lurking nearby. We have every intention to move on as quickly as possible.
He gives you this long, appraising look. He looks at Dajar, who obviously gives him a grin from here to next Tuesday. We will allow you to remain until the sun sets. After that, we will destroy you. This is Datahog territory.
Mutaru sort of steps up, almost intimidating, and he does this. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, sorry.
He bows slightly, and the three of them step back. He clips his mask over. One of them steps forward and whispers something in his ear. He steps forward again. He doesn't bother to take his mask off. I have been told to give you a message.
I lean in. Oh, Mutaru leans in.
The woman known as Hashtal. She is the one saving you right now. She arrived and begged our leave for your vessel to stay here until nightfall.
Do I know this name?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Can I roll anything to see if I recognize the name?
Where are your notes, Michael?
Where are my notes? My notes are here somewhere. Hashtal. Is that the escapee?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ah.
So the name doesn't mean anything to you because no one else does.
Yeah.
Because
I don't acknowledge it visually, but then like when I turn around, I've got like this expression. Like I'm so confused.
The three of them take another step back, and then all three of them just sink into the sand until it completely consumes them.
That is the single coolest thing I've ever seen.
You are very lucky, my friend. The Datahogs do not usually give you till the sun sets. You are remarkably fortunate. This
I smile. Oh, I smile and pat him on the back. You, however, are not, because you did no speaking. Thus, you do not earn coin here. But do not feel sad. Come, we shall discuss negotiation. There's plenty more chance for coin.
about the tea, yes?
Yes.
It's the most amazing flavor.
Just stop talking about your virgin tea.
You prefer coffee? I have the coffee too.
Good Lord. I return to the meeting room, head in hand.
And with that, we will catch up with you again next week, as we have come to the end of our usual timing. If you missed the beginning of the show, of course, we are now switching next week to a 2-hour format rather than the 45 minutes that we have been doing in the past. So hopefully that will give you more of what you want, and we'll be able to get into the story flow a little bit better as well. So stick around if you want to watch the review of the episode. We have that coming up. If not, we'll see you next week. All right.
Hello.
Dice of Destiny. Who are we going to speak to first? Number 2, Michael.
Wait, it's not number 2,
Hello.
not me?
No.
That's to be Blackston every week.
Every time.
Yeah, no, good session from Matara. I was actually quite surprised. I thought, being left behind, I'd have a nice quiet time, just sit there, enjoy a cup of tea. The ship's breaking, need to get it fixed, have to deal with the jar, have to deal with these sand people. I mean, it's really funny too, because despite Mutaru's style, because by now, if you're at this episode, you probably already know Mutaru is a big, fat, clumsy oaf for the most part. But the thing is he's actually quite charismatic when he wants to be, if it doesn't involve him needing to hit things, basically. And I think it's just kind of cool. Like it's sort of like there's so many questions that got brought up. There's so many really good roleplay chances, and if you're playing a fighter character, it's always nice to have those times just to, even watching you guys. I don't know if you noticed, I was actually had a little bowl of chips here, and I was just having a munch listening to this amazing fight, because sometimes to be a better fighter, you might just need to watch other people do it, and then just be like, oh wow, that's really cool. And that's really cool. Oh my god, that's really cool. Oh, he's gonna die. And then giant snot explosion. Oh wow, that's amazing. I'm so glad I'm not there.
Yeah.
Depth charges for the win. Indeed. So depth charges, that was Blackston's little idea of throwing the Greek fire in there. Interesting choice of action. I suppose saved the ship in the end, even if it did repaint it.
Not my ship.
Best response ever.
So I noticed that Blackston wasn't too happy about having to let the woman go.
Well,
So what
multiple
now?
reasons.
Mm.
First of all, he wants to know what happened. Second of all, one of our crew members died when she escaped, and it's not clear that she isn't necessarily involved in that.
Hmm.
And he is done with losing.
An interesting situation, indeed. Especially because of what may or may not have happened if Graham had gone a further 10 feet down.
What?
Well, you heard the voices.
I did, but
But you didn't tell us of the voices, so I couldn't do anything.
Ooh.
I was thinking like, crap, it's probably like a trick that the eel does.
What?
Yeah. I was thinking it was like a lure or something. Like sirens and stuff. But then again, I don't know, like I heard voices like maybe it was a bunch of like tribesmen.
Okay, don't let the idiot do stuff. I get it.
What did I do?
It's so
Leave me alone.
interesting that
What was it
it seems
again?
to be, it's always a Graham Blackston pairing, right? It's not like it was Con who went down, or I mean, Con was helping with the rope, but this combination really has been a Blackston-Graham combination for quite some time now. And there seems to be a lot of lack of communication happening, isn't there? So that's
well, like you didn't like I didn't get like any like discern of voices. Like it was just voices. I'm like, I don't know. That sounds suspicious.
indeed. And Con,
Bloody hell, just trying to keep every one of my mad, crazy crewmates alive at this stage.
tough call to call off the search.
Well, yes, but from his perspective, I'm watching two of my fellow captains dive into an eel-infested, murky what? I don't know about any voices or holes, or
We don't
it's
know.
just.
I'll bring it up.
But even if you did, I might have just
I would have
dismissed it
jumped
as
down
your
there myself if you wouldn't do it.
I would probably
Even
have
without a
dismissed it as
fucking
his
rope.
imagination. You're hearing voices in the middle of swirling sand and eels. Sure,
Right.
okay,
But we know that
whatever.
our
The thing
prisoner is
that-
down there, or at least was, and he brought up
She-
nothing.
For all I know, she's in the
I brought
stomach
up
of an eel.
Giant eel, and I don't want to die from a giant eel. And I'm
You're a
also like
pussy.
already really hurt.
So from the doctor's perspective, this whole effort seems ill prepared. If we're going to go searching down strange sandy nether regions infested with predatory eels, then we're not going about it the right way.
Right.
The way she went is exactly the right way.
Well, let's see what happens. But on the upside is at this point in time, because unless you do something radically crazy in the next episode, which I expect you to do, I'm anticipating a nice quiet afternoon of ship repairing and
Sure.
reconciliation.
Yeah, because
That's,
that always happens.
A moment of
I mean, for all I know, the parents of this fucking dune worm are going to show up.
Oh, great. Yeah, no.
More reason to be leaving here now.
Right.
Honestly, I'm screwed because she did me a favor. Damn it.
Right.
As
Well,
far
you don't know
yeah,
this.
there's
You don't
another thing.
know it.
No, I don't. I have no idea. I just in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh no.
But did she do Graham a favor, or did she do Blackston a favor?
Oh.
Favor.
A
Well,
flavor.
I know where Blackston
Flavor.
annoyed,
Yeah.
but
Flavor Flav.
Anyway, all right. So you guys can move your characters up to level 4. Simon, I know that we will have to do the level 3 thing for the paladin, and let's just say I had planned it to happen, but
Sure you did.
I did indeed. It's just that let's just say that things didn't go in the direction I thought. Principally, well, every other direction except for the one that I thought it was going to go in.
the curse of GMs everywhere.
Indeed.
Was I supposed to beat up those desert dudes?
No, not in the slightest.
Oh, okay, good.
No, this whole thing changed direction rapidly when suddenly everyone jumped on sailing ships and started sailing around the desert. But it's all good, and we'll work out a plan one way or another. If you want to join us again next week for more antics, well, be prepared for anything. I know I certainly have to be in order to try and pull the story back on track. But you four gentlemen can level up to level 4. Yeah. And until next time, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.